What a tough situation for the Miami Dolphins. Yes, my friends, the Dolphins find themselves at a crossroads after Tyreek Hill's recent and unexpected trade request. Following a disappointing loss to the New York Jets in Week 18 of the NFL season, the wide receiver took to social media and publicly expressed his desire to explore other options. His exact words were, "I'm opening the door, I'm out, man." It was undoubtedly a statement that sent shockwaves through the Dolphins fan base. If you think Tyreek Hill was a very important player for the Dolphins, hit the like button. If possible, write what you have to say about him. Hill's cryptic social media activity didn't end there. Upon returning home, he doubled down by tweeting, "Love Fins Nation. Blessings to all of you. Doors always open to the Hill family," which many interpreted as a farewell message. But the real stir came when he changed his profile picture to an infamous image of Antonio Brown walking off the field during his dramatic exit from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That move left fans and analysts wondering if Hill was signaling his own readiness to part ways with the Dolphins in a similarly controversial fashion. For a player of Hill's caliber, his apparent discontent is a significant issue for the Dolphins front office. Tyreek Hill is not just any wide receiver. He's a six-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, and one of the fastest players in the league. However, the narrative surrounding him has shifted dramatically. What started as excitement over his addition to the team has turned into a debate over whether the Dolphins should move on from him altogether. Hill's performance this season hasn't lived up to expectations. While he still showed flashes of his elite speed and playmaking ability, he failed to surpass the 1,000-yard mark and had multiple critical drops. Some question if he's worth the massive contract he signed, especially as he approaches his 31st birthday. Hill's game is heavily reliant on speed, and there's growing concern about how well he'll perform as he ages. Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins head coach, was asked about the trade request in a post-game press conference. His response was measured, saying he doesn't want to fight emotion with emotion and plans to speak with Hill in the coming days. But the damage may already be done. Some fans and analysts believe that Hill's trade request is a sign that he's no longer committed to the team, and they argue it's time for Miami to cut ties before his value diminishes further. Trading Hill, however, is not as simple as it sounds. The financial implications are significant. If Hill remains on the roster in 2025, he carries a $27.7 million cap hit. If the Dolphins trade him before June 1st, that hit jumps to $28.3 million. The only way Miami benefits financially is by waiting until after June 1st to move him, which would reduce the cap hit to $12.7 million. Despite these financial hurdles, some argue that the long-term benefits of freeing up cap space and moving on from a potentially disgruntled player outweigh the short-term costs. Looking ahead, the Dolphins have some depth at the wide receiver position, which could soften the blow of losing Hill. Jalen Waddle, who has emerged as a dynamic playmaker, would become the team's primary target. Rookie Malik Washington has shown promise, and Jonnu Smith, a reliable tight end, will return next season. The Dolphins could also look to the draft or free agency to bolster their receiving core. But what could the Dolphins realistically get in return for Tyreek Hill? Based on recent trades involving star wide receivers, such as Davante Adams, expectations should be tempered. Adams was traded for a conditional third-round pick that later became a second-rounder. Given Hill's age and the size of his contract, it's unlikely Miami would receive a first-round pick in return. A more realistic scenario would involve a second or third-round pick, possibly paired with a fourth-rounder. So, who might be interested in acquiring Hill? Several teams come to mind. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for instance, have been searching for a true number one wide receiver. The Los Angeles Chargers could also be in the mix, looking to provide Justin Herbert with more weapons. The Washington Commanders, with quarterback Jaden Daniels still on a rookie contract, might be willing to make a move. And, of course, there's always the possibility of a reunion with the Kansas City Chiefs. Hill was reportedly pushing for a return to Kansas City at the trade deadline, though the Dolphins ultimately decided against it. Despite the drama, it's important to remember that Hill's trade request might have been made in the heat of the moment. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, commented that the situation will be discussed internally before any public statements are made. However, some fans and analysts believe the damage is already done. The trust between Hill and the Dolphins appears to be broken, and it's unclear if it can be repaired. What's your take, Dolphins fans? Should Miami hold on to Tyreek Hill and try to mend fences, or is it time to cut their losses and move on? Let us know in the comments. The offseason promises to be eventful, and we'll be here to keep you updated on all the latest developments. The potential departure of Tyreek Hill raises several important questions about the Miami Dolphins' direction and future. First and foremost, how did things unravel so quickly? Just 2 years ago, Hill's arrival in Miami was celebrated as a game-changer. His speed, dynamic playmaking, and big-game experience were expected to elevate the Dolphins into perennial contenders. So, what happened? Many fans believe that frustration from another season without a playoff win played a significant role in Hill's trade request. The Dolphins, despite flashes of brilliance, have struggled to put it all together when it matters most. For a competitor like Hill, who tasted Super Bowl glory with the Kansas City Chiefs, being part of a team that falls short year after year could be demoralizing. There's also the issue of Hill's personality and social media antics. While his confidence and swagger have been part of his appeal, it's no secret that Hill enjoys stirring the pot online. Changing his profile picture to Antonio Brown's infamous exit from the Buccaneers felt like a deliberate move to grab attention and fuel speculation. Whether it was meant as a joke or a serious statement, it added fuel to the fire at a time when the Dolphins need stability. Let's not forget that Hill has been at the center of controversial moments before. His exit from Kansas City wasn't without drama, and there were concerns about how his personality would fit in Miami's locker room. Initially, those concerns seemed unfounded as Hill thrived in his first season with the Dolphins, but now they've resurfaced in a big way. From a purely football perspective, moving on from Hill might not be as devastating as it initially seems. Jalen Waddle has proven to be a legitimate star in the making, capable of taking over the number one receiver role. His chemistry with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is already established, and he's shown the ability to make big plays in crucial moments. Meanwhile, Malik Washington, a sixth-round pick, has emerged as a promising young talent. His work ethic and versatility make him a valuable piece in the Dolphins' offense moving forward. Jonnu Smith, the team's tight end, is another reliable option who will be back next season, providing a safety net for Tua in the middle of the field. What the Dolphins would need to address is the lack of a true boundary receiver opposite Waddle. There are several options to explore in the draft and free agency, but losing Hill would leave a gap in the offense that must be filled. However, with the right moves, Miami could build a more balanced and cost-effective receiving core. The financial aspect of a Hill trade can't be overlooked. His $27.7 million cap hit for 2025 is a hefty price to pay, especially for a player who may be past his prime by then. Trading him after June 1st would reduce that hit significantly, freeing up cap space that could be used to address other areas of need. The challenge for the Dolphins is finding a trade partner willing to take on Hill's contract and give up valuable draft capital in return. Realistically, the market for Hill might not be as robust as some fans hope. At 31 years old, with a game built around speed, Hill's value is likely declining. Teams will be wary of giving up high draft picks for a player who could lose his effectiveness in the coming years. The most likely return would be a second or third round pick, possibly with an additional mid-round pick. There are several teams that could make a move for Hill, but each comes with its own set of challenges. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, have been looking for a top-tier wide receiver to pair with Kenny Pickett, but they may be hesitant to take on Hill's contract. The Los Angeles Chargers, with Justin Herbert at quarterback, could be a more natural fit. Pairing Hill with Herbert would give the Chargers one of the most dynamic passing attacks in the league. So, Dolphins fans, it's time for you to weigh in. Should Miami trade Tyreek Hill, or should they find a way to keep him in South Florida? How would you handle the situation if you were in the front office? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to stay tuned for more updates. The offseason is just getting started, and there's plenty more drama to come.